Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business Building Brand Vlog. This one, big number 317, and can you can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? It's a little weird. I got all sorts of like sinus. Anyway, my voice is a little bit rough, but hopefully this vlog won't be. Anyway, so before we get into talking about one of the things I want to talk about, which is a really weird and morbid thing to think about and deal with. I just want to give you an update on Tiege Hanley. I mentioned it in last vlog, which you guys love. So I'm going to do more of those like vlog style videos just because they're easy for me and you guys dig them. And so one thing on the vlog topic, I just got a new camera for my vlogs. This is the one that I love using for my vlogs. It is the Canon M6. For those of you who like little cameras, it's a mirrorless, camera. It's got a little thing that flips up like this little, let me show you. Yep. It's crap. Skip. Anyway, it's the Canon M6. It's a great little camera and you can just do like that, right? It's super light. Anyway, got a new one because last week, do you notice how it was real like blown out when I was outside like by the dumpsters? I think I've dropped my old one enough times that it finally like effed it up. And so this one is new and so I'm excited to use it. And so more vlogs, they are coming. Anyway, what I mentioned in last vlog was something that I wanted to address and talk about a little bit, real quick, here on this vlog, and that is Tiege Hanley. We have shifted. We have shifted our focus, we have shifted our direction, and we have shifted some of our expenses. So, when it comes to running your business, you basically have to decide how you're going to operate or run your business. Are you going to bootstrap it? Are you going to grow slower, focus on profitability and making money? Or are you going to try to speed things up and grow? And when you try to speed things up and grow, a lot of times your profit margin will start to go down. Now, you've got to decide where that profit margin is comfortable for you. Because if it gets too small or you start running negative, this is an unsustainable situation. And if you're in that business or that potential scenario where you're spending more every month than you're generating, you're going to need to borrow money or you're going to need to raise money and the terms aren't going to be as good. You're going to need to give up more of your business than you may need to or want to. And so Tiege Hanley, when we first started, it was pretty much just like a few people, right? It was me, Rob, Kelly, Tom. I was doing most of the marketing, like all of the marketing, and we were super profitable. Well, as we've been in business for 5 years, our expenses have grown. Our profit has not, though. As our expenses have grown, the profitability has shrunk because we're using more money in order to hire more people. Our office space is bigger. We are spending more on like marketing and advertising and all that. Now, that's fine if it stays consistent in terms of your growth. But if growth does not outpace your spend and your profitability shrinks to a point at which it's unsustainable, you've got to make some hard decisions. And so Tiege Hanley has had to make some hard decisions. We have overspent in terms of some of the areas of our business, and our profit margin has not been as good as we need it to be. And so this year, the end of the year, we've had to have and make some tough decisions in terms of how we are going to basically get our costs down a little bit. And the good news with Tiege Hanley is that it was pretty easy to do in order to adjust things in terms of some things we were spending on. A few people we actually had to unfortunately let go, but it's all to get to a point of profitability again. Not just a little bit of profit, but actually, significant profit. And the beautiful thing with Tiege Hanley is that with few minor adjustments, we can get to profitability like super quick because every day we are, as a subscription, you're generating a lot of revenue. End of the month, a lot of revenue. And so if you can cut your expenses, even if you cut your expenses, say by $200,000 a month, right? Now all of a sudden you're generating, $200,000 more of profit essentially over the course of 6 months. That's, $1.2 million of profit. And so as you can see, you tweak a few little knobs and turn a few little dials, and you can get to a point of profitability fairly easily. But if you actually raise money, it's too late. You can't actually pull back because at that point you are beholden to the people that invested in you, and they just want you to grow pretty much at all costs. And so as we've talked about a little bit, Tiege Hanley was in the process of putting some feelers out there in terms of partners and investment, right? We were thinking about raising some money in order to help us grow. But it became apparent after a bunch of conversations that we have something that we need to figure out prior to actually raising money if we don't want to give away a lot of our company. And that one thing, once again, is marketing. There are some things, some fundamental things that we need to start doing better in terms of customer acquisition, in terms of, you know, our flows, of email flows, our retention has always, actually our retention is great. Our retention has, we spent a lot of time and energy and money working on our retention, keeping people longer, and it's paid off, it's worked. But we now need to fill that funnel up and you know, fill the funnel of customers up. About 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, we stopped discounting like 100%. Then it was just about, you know, the free gifts and this and that. And the conversation is, what are we gonna do in order to fill this funnel back up? And I am of the mindset of, it's skincare. You gotta get people to try it so that they fall in love with it, they love how they look, and then they will continue to use it. And so I have always been on the side of, we need to incentivize people. And as you have seen with my YouTube channel, most of the time an incentive is an incredible deal. Give them a deal that's almost too good to pass up and get them to try it. Once they're in your ecosystem, then it's your job to basically convert them to a better customer or upsell them. That's pretty much it. But the game and the name of the game is customer acquisition. And so before, the reason why we stopped trying to discount in terms of acquisition is because of our churn. You know, we were getting people up, we were filling up the funnel, but a lot of people were churning out just to get a better deal. But we have worked tirelessly, if that's a word, is that a word? In order to handle our retention, and we have done that. We've gotten our retention game like super strong. We figured out a lot of things. And so while we were talking about, you know, okay, well, what can we do? You know, a lot of companies have like free offers, Dollar Shave Club, right? $5 starter set, you know, all you pay is $5. And then after that, second month, regular product ships to you at regular price. Like, you've all heard the pitch, right? And so Tiege Hanley, I said, I want to do an incredible deal just to test it. Let's give an offer, let's give a great discount, and let's see what happens. And so they were like, oh, we don't really want, but we ended up doing it. To test. We gave it to me because I am very effective. I'm also really affordable in terms of customer acquisition. Whenever you pay for advertising, whether or not it's digital or an influencer, that's expensive. For me, it's free because I'm an owner, right? And so technically free. Yes, there's opportunity costs and all that, but that's beside the point. Give me the offer, coach. Give me the ball. I'm the guy that says, give me the ball, give it to me. I want to try it. I want to test it. I want to crush it. And guess what happened? I fucking crushed it. And we got tons of new subscribers. And the great thing is that a lot of people, what we were fearful of is people just like canceling and then retry, and they didn't do it. Some people did, of course, but it was amazing. And so now it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen to these people long term? We need like 3-4 months in order to analyze it. But the good news is we're analyzing it, and it looks like it was incredibly effective. Because here's the other beautiful thing. Because we pay and spend a lot of money on marketing, with influencers, we can get a better CPA or return on our investment if we give them a better offer in order to convert more people. And so it sort of feeds itself and it fills up that funnel more. And so if somebody, promotes Tiege Hanley and they're not as good a salesperson as I am, if we can give an influencer that doesn't convert quite as high a better offer, and this converts more people, now all of a sudden, you got to do the math, because yes, you're giving people a deal, you're giving them a discount, but do they make it up in volume? And can you make it up on, the duration of that person being a customer? And so we are really getting dialed in and focused as a company that is really marketing. We've talked about this before. It's marketing. It's always marketing, right? You can have the best product in the world, but if you don't know how to market it, if you don't know how to convert people or get it in front of people, that product is never going to see the light of day. And so Tiege Hanley, we have made the decision, some hard decisions, that we need to cut some expenses. We need to really pull back a little bit, not big, but we need to pull back enough to get to profitability good profitability, and then refocus, resettle ourselves, get our feet underneath us, and move forward. And I am so incredibly excited we're doing this, if I'm being honest. I am a very conservative person when it comes to spending, right? And we have at Tiege Hanley have been spending in order to grow, but the growth hasn't outweighed the expense. And so the fact that we are pulling back and getting a little bit more sort of back to basics and granular and working on the fundamentals of our business and acquisition, this is an amazing thing. And I'm super excited and pumped to be embarking on this next phase and journey of our business. We had to cut a little bit of fat. We cut it. Now we're strong, we're lean, we're mean, and we're moving forward. Speaking of forward, as you move forward in life, there comes a point at which you will no longer be here. You're gonna croak, right? It's an unpleasant thing to think about. It's a hard thing to kind of conceptualize, but it's something as a person and a business owner, you need to address and face. And that is something that I dealt with last week. And that is going and sitting down with an attorney for estate planning and to redo my will. And this was, once again, this was not, okay, let me back up a little bit. Do you have a will? Do people know what you want if you croak, right? Now, the interesting thing to this is that nobody likes to think about it, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, I'll put it off later. I know I need to do it. I'll do it later, right? I know that's the way that most people are because it's not a pleasant thing to think about. But over the course of the past few years, seeing a few people die unexpectedly and seeing some of the turmoil that can come as a result of that without having that person's wishes sort of spelled out and all the I's dotted and T's crossed and it like be like black and white, this is what the person wants, it gets crazy, right? It can also get crazy if you have a lot of money. It gets even crazier if you got a lot of assets and a lot of money because things get weird. And when people croak, everybody's super emotional. And, you know, people can, you know, get greedy, honestly. And depending on what you want or what you have, you really need to make sure that you are prepared for that to happen. So about 3 years ago, and 3 years ago, financially looked different than it does now, but it didn't look like, it wasn't like I was broke or anything. But my wife and I, about 3 years ago, what was the date? Do I have a date that I did this? Hang on. Do I have a date? Because I think I must have dated this one. Yeah, the 8th, 2017. So March 2017. So almost 4 years ago, I went, my wife and I, we went, sat down and talked to an attorney about doing a will. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, if I'm being honest. I didn't expect it, but thinking through and actually talking through sort of scenarios and what I wanted, it, for whatever reason, was so incredibly emotional for me. I was crying in the office when I was doing it the first time. Like I was crying, I was, you know, I was really upset. And I don't know why, but it was thinking through like what is going to happen. Like, okay, I need to plan about, you know, like my assistant needs to get some money because she's got a job to do. And like, it was all the like sort of weird like thing. It's weird, it's abstract, it's morbid to think about, right? But this time, you know, I knew that I needed to sort of update things because now I've got more assets, I've got more things. And the more I learn about just like wills and estates, the more I realize that if I would die and I just had this original will that I had like from 4 years ago, it would be a complete and utter clusterfuck. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go figure this out. And so I made an appointment with an estate planner, attorney sort of person, and we met for about an hour and a half and we went through everything. And this time I didn't get upset at all. It was literally business. It was a very methodical and robotic scenario, or it was just thinking about things logically, like, okay, what do we need to do? You know, I didn't know that I needed to set up a trust. A trust needs to have these assets. And then you start thinking about, and you start hearing about all these taxes on if you die, what happens? Because if you die and you just have a will, it goes to probate. And probate can take 6 months. And so if you have a business, right? If like Pete and Pedro, if I said, okay, my assets or my estate, Pete and Pedro was just lumped into my estate, right? And I died, it needs to wait to go to probate before my wife or anybody would have access to like the bank accounts or anything like that. And so the business would literally like shut down because, 6 months of no ability to pay bills or do anything like that, it would literally like, it would die, right? And so there's all sorts of things that I did not know or think about with this that was not explained to me. Now, I got quite the education in terms of trusts and assets and deeds. And if you want specific assets to go to specific people, it needs to be owned in this trust and then divided up and it's really complex. And it's something that I'm so incredibly glad that I started to do. And so it's not done and it's expensive. Because mine is so complex and weird, and there's a lot of moving parts and things to think about in terms of parents and step parents and animals. Like I actually set up a separate trust for my animals. And she asked me, she's like, do you have any pets? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you want to set up a trust so that you can leave that to somebody with money? I'm like, yes, let's do it. And so my freaking cats have like $50,000 that if I die, my wife dies, then, my mom will basically get the cats and she will get $50,000 to care for them or whatever animal I have at the time of passing. And so I'm talking like thinking through things. And so it's interesting. Also, another weird one was she's like, okay, well now, we know because you've got your wife, you've got your parents, we don't have children. And so, that makes it a little bit easier, but what happens if everything sort of explodes? She called it the exploding turkey at Thanksgiving scenario where everybody gets wiped out. What happens then? It's like, ooh, never really thought about that. I'm dead. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. It matters because, I think about it as my legacy. And I think that this has really shown me that I want to, at some point, in the near future, set up some type of charity. Because she was asking me, she's like, are there any charities that you like? And stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, there are charities I like, but I don't know enough about the charities. I haven't dug in deep enough to say, yes, my entire estate, they can have it, right? Because I don't know, the people running it could be shitty people. I don't know enough about, Toys for, even Toys for Tots. I don't know, the corporates, I don't know. And so, I got to educate myself, and I think that at some point I want to set up some type of charity, maybe for children or anyway. That's a whole nother story for another time. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and just tell you something I dealt with. If you are a business owner, if you're not a business owner, if you're just a person, yo, Antonio.
Yeah, just want to bother you.
Yeah, well, I'm filming a vlog. Do you have a will?
I do.
Good.
I do.
You need to do a better job because you've got other stuff. I just met with my estate planner, and it's not as simple as a will. You got to take it next level. We'll talk about it later. I'm going to finish the vlog. Right. I'll call you back.
Okay, bye.
Bye. See, Antonio's got one. Do you, gentlemen? Here's the thing. Even if you, and the thing is with a will, if it's pretty simple and basic, it's I want my goldfish to go here or my assets are this. You can go to LegalZoom. There are templates online that you can fill out. But I would highly recommend each and every one of you, even if it's not something that's comfortable to think about or talk about, because it's not, I encourage each and every one of you to do the hard work. Be a man, do the adult shit you need to do, because it makes life a lot easier if for everybody that you leave behind, if they know exactly what you want. I know, I told it, in mine, it says where I want my, whether or not I want to be buried or cremated. I want to be cremated. And so where do I want my ashes sprinkled? And I told her, I'm here and here. And she's like, that's kind of illegal. I'm like, I'll let them worry about that. Thinking through things like that. And it just makes me feel better and it will make you feel better and give you a sense of peace of mind, knowing that if worst scenario happens, it's not just everybody freaking out, because, somebody passing away is a traumatic, emotional thing. What makes it even more traumatic and emotional when everybody's fighting because they don't know what to do or where things are or where your money is or where your assets are. You've just got to do the work so that if you love, let's put it this way. It's a sign of love for the people that you are leaving behind, that you are thinking through this. And so that's all I wanted to say. It's hard to think about. It's pretty fucked up, but it's important that you address it and you think about it now as opposed to not. And, just one of those things. Now, I think there are a few business questions. I think I got time for a few. Let me try that again. There were a few business questions asking me about insurance because last week I talked a little bit about insurance. If you didn't watch last vlog, it was chock full of adult type business stuff. In terms of like lawsuits and stuff like that. No lawsuits have been filed or anything like that. We're good, and we think we're totally good. Anyway, I don't know enough about insurance to answer the insurance questions, and so I'm going to leave that for somebody more qualified. I don't know when that's going to be. Actually, I do. Ask an insurance agent. Find one and ask them. Anyway, the first official business question is from our friend Anthony H. He says, how did you hire the warehouse employees for Pete and Pedro? I heard you say there were 3 people. Are they just picker packers? And are you looking to add more employees as Pete and Pedro expand? So, great question. Yes, there are 3 main people at Pete and Pedro. There's Matt, there's Zavi, and then there's Metodi. So here's how I met all 3 of them. Matt, I have known literally for it's been 20 years. I've known him for 20 years. He actually worked out at one of my personal training studios. Him and his wife, Beth, dear friends of mine. And so he started working for Pete and Pedro. He does that. He does real estate as well. But he started working for Pete and Pedro when I moved to this warehouse. I needed help, or this office. I needed help. I said, hey, would you be interested? He was kind of like in between, some stuff. Anyway, it's a long story. Anyway, he was getting into real estate. I said, hey, would you be interested in helping? I'll give you, $1 a package, and I'll give you, X number of dollars a day just to come here and do it. And he's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And so he started working here, and then we needed somebody else. And so there was this guy that I met that was a YouTube follower at the gym, Metodi. One day he came up to me and he was talking to me about YouTube, and I knew that he worked at a grocery store. And I said to him, I knew he was like kind of like in between. One day, that's what it was. I was like, hey, how's work going? He's like, oh, I'm looking for something else. I go, really? How many hours? Would you be interested? And he's like, sure. And so he started working here. And then we moved to the warehouse, and I needed somebody else. We needed somebody else to help because we were just a little bit too busy. And I also at the time needed somebody to really focus on Ollie. You guys remember the teeth whitening things? And so there was somebody that I would always see at Starbucks, Zavi. And very friendly, very upbeat. And she was kind of training to be like a manager. I saw her at a different Starbucks a few months later. I was like, hey, how's the management thing? She goes, no, they're passing me up for this job and blah, blah, blah. I said, really? I said, well, how much do they pay you? And she's like, $8 an hour. I go, no way. How long have you been with Starbucks? She's like 8 years. I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, well, here's the deal. I said, it's not glamorous or sexy work, but I know that I can pay you more. Would you be interested in talking to me about coming to work at a warehouse and doing, pick and packing with 2 dudes? And she's like, yeah, let's talk. And so hired her. It was an amazing hire. And so those are the 3 core people that I have. Matt does the majority of kind of like the management of the warehouse and does an incredible job. And Zavi's kind of like second in command in terms of knowing all the software, the systems, so that if Matt isn't there, Zavi can step in. I needed a little bit of redundancy. Metodi used to, but Metodi's really good at some of the other warehouse stuff. And so, 3 people. We do have some seasonal work that comes in during the busy times, and it's Matt's daughter and some of her friends. And so it's a very close-knit operation. I have said to them, I said, when it reaches a point where you can't handle it, I am super open to hiring or bringing somebody else into the business. But as of right now, things they're able to manage, and we grew, 20% this year. And so as long as they can handle it, they're good. Once they can't, I told them, I said, whenever you need them, let me know. But apparently right now we're good. So we're good. This next business question is awesome, and it's from Guillermo Panda. He says, what percentage of return do you recommend to reinvest in a business, gourmet mushrooms, for keeping steady growth? P.S. I love this kind of go-to video. Thanks, Guillermo. Mushrooms. Mushrooms are so fascinating to me. One of my buddies that I run with, Tony, he's into like Joe Rogan and stuff. And so we go run every Sunday. We do 10 miles. It's our thing. And we were always running and we're looking at all these mushrooms. And We always are like, I wonder if they look like, anyway. So mushrooms, I love mushrooms. I don't take mushrooms like hallucinogenic. I love eating mushrooms. I have done hallucinogenic mushrooms in college, and they were a lot of fun. But now I don't know what would happen if I took them. Anyway, I was a disaster in college. That's when you experiment. Anyway, let's talk about what percentage to reinvest into your business. I don't know that there is a percentage. I think it's more about, are there opportunities that you see that you can spend money wisely in order to see a return on that investment? And so, there are, I'm sure, different formulas like, okay, you invest 20% back into marketing, or you do this. Well, I'm a firm believer, you invest as much as you can afford to, as long as that investment is making you a return that you're comfortable with. This goes for paid advertising, this goes for, digital advertising, info, like whatever it is. For me, I look at the numbers, right? I don't want to, it's not good enough for me with, like with Pete and Pedro, like a one-on-one, like if I'm spending $1,000 and I'm generating 1,000, that's not good enough for me. I need more. I need a bigger return. I need 1.5 at least in order to continue to spend money on an ad. And the reason is because there's a lot of gray area. When it comes to digital marketing, it is faith-based to some degree. And with the iOS updates, it got even more fuzzy. And so for me, I'm like, all right, if I'm not at least doing a 1.5 return on my spend, it's getting too close. My budget's too close. Now, a lot of people be like, dude, that's crazy. If you can just get a customer or make your money back and not lose money, this is amazing. That's fine, and that's not wrong, but I look at things different. I look at bottom dollar money, and I would rather personally grow a little bit slower and make more money. And when it comes to digital, it's kind of scary because it can be a black hole of spending cash. And a lot of these digital agencies will tell you, and it's almost like, they're like, no, look at what we did. It's like, no, you didn't do that. You did that because of the remarketing and how much traffic I drive. Like, don't bullshit me. And ad agencies are notorious for fudging things in their favor. And so if they're telling you or showing you it's 1.5, it's not. It's less than that. So anyway, in terms of how much to spend, if you can figure out a way to spend it 10%, 20%, maybe do that. Maybe take 20%. And see what happens. Spend it. Did you get a return? Yeah? Okay, maybe we'll go 12%, 15%. Keep escalating. And then, once it reaches a point where you're like, yo, I got to chill out, then chill out. There's so many great business questions. I talked way too much this time. Here's what I think we should do. God, if you had a business question and I did not get to it today, I didn't get to all that many, like there's great ones. Chris Adkins, please copy and paste your question from last vlog into this vlog, and next week I'll do a better job of not talking so much and actually going over these questions, because these business questions are amazing. Pi A talking about healthy mindset. We've also got another one about real estate. Ryan Moyer, come on, baby. Down below, start with business question, ask your question. Next week, it's all about your questions, okay? I will do less talking about me and my situation and more about you and your situation. So next week, it's literally like all business question answers. Guys, down below, business question, start it and then ask it. We love you more than our dumb monk trap shoes. I just talked a lot this time. There's a lot to get out. There's a lot to say, but I'm glad you enjoyed the car vlogs as much as I do. It won't be one next week, but maybe the next week we'll do one. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for rolling with Tiege Hanley, and thank you for being amazing.